What's up, everybody? It's Chelsea Denofa here, and I'm going to be dissecting Road Atlanta Formula D. It's the third round of Formula D. They switched spots between Orlando and Atlanta. Hopefully you watched my Orlando video from earlier. This event was pretty wild. I made my first top 16 in the Mustang. I qualified in the top 10, so I'm starting to feel better in it, and just overall stoked on everything. Unfortunately, there was no highlight reel for this, so I'll be skipping around a bunch in between to try to shorten up the video. So there'll be a little bit more cuts than normal, but we hopefully won't miss any of the content, and we'll keep the flow right. So everybody enjoy. Alright, so what the judges want to see at Formula Drift Atlanta is full throttle initiation. We get up to about 100 to 110 miles per hour here. Handbrake or clutch kick to handbrake. Get the car sideways. They don't want to see a backwards entry because they want to see you be able to hold your angle through inner clip 1. As soon as you get to inner clip 1, they want you on throttle up the hill a little bit to the inside of the track here, and then power all the way up into outer zone 1. Halfway through outer zone 1, you can start using the brakes or handbrake to slow the car. This is a section where you're allowed to. And as soon as you get back into outer zone 2, they want you back on throttle, fully committed, into inner clip 2, midline all the way back through, and then clip inside clip 3, which is the same as inner clip 1. And then they want you to finish the track out wide and make sure you cross the finish line. Tricky things to watch here are the steady amount of angle you have on initiation, crossing inner clip 1, so that should all be one angle until you get to here, which will inevitably be the fact that you will be 90 degrees or so around here, because obviously when you get to this clip here, the track is turned, so you'll be a little bit less angle, but just keep making sure that the cars have steady angle. Power all the way up the hill. They want to see a lot of angle in this section here, and they want to see you cross this up at the inner clip 2 and smoothly finish the track, winding an angle nicely. So that's Formula Drift Atlanta's track. And moving on to your number 1 qualifier, which was Gittin Jr. We will go ahead and watch his run because this is what you're supposed to do in each lead position.
On his second run,
Alright, so you'll see a 3 cone, he pulls a handbrake, it's completely sideways by the second cone, snaps to angle very quickly, back tire on the rumble strip, right where they want you to be, steady angle all the way through, right there on inner clip 1, power through, tire onto the rumble strip right where they want you to be, into outer zone number 1 is going to be right on the rumble strip. You can see the tire kicking on the rumble strip, filling that zone all the way, powering out with a little bit of a handbrake, small correction, but tucking that bumper over the grass in the zone. Here's the second part of the zone. First part is here. Filling that zone all the way with good angle, transitioning around, just tapping the cone perfectly where it needs to be. This cone right here does not mean anything. It's just a marker so the drivers can see. But snaps good angle, lots of angle through here. Quick transition through the last part, right on inner clip 3, and powers almost all the way out to the rumble strips. And Manji's up the hill. So that was going to be the best run, the best qualifying run, which is going to be a 94, I believe. So you watch it again, real snappy entry, power straight through, good line through here, tucks a tire onto the inside, powers all the way out, fills the outer zone on the rumble strip, gets into that outer zone right in the center, fills it up. Lots of angle, nicks inner clip number 2, right on the middle line through here, tucks to the inside a little bit, snaps a little bit more angle, and finishes the run off. So definitely a solid run from Vaughn, and that's going to be the number 1 qualifier that everyone is supposed to watch. Alright, and right into the top 32 run with me. I will go ahead and show you guys that, and then we'll jump into top 16. It's me versus Taylor Hull. I'm going to drive into the first turn, do a snappy initiation at second clip, a little bit longer of a handbrake drag than I'd like to see. You'll see he's about 2 cars back. I drive across the inner clip. He washes out wide, which puts him in a poor position there. I drive up the hill, stay a little bit out of the outer zone, clip the outer zone in the beginning. I'd like to see myself a little bit deeper in the outer zone, but I do get through there. He closes the gap by cutting the track, and then I pull away quite a bit. Taking a mid line with quite a bit of angle, tucking to the inside to give me a fast run out on the last part of the track. So pretty big gap there against Taylor Hull. That big mistake in the first turn is going to be a huge deduction on his end. So since they only have the actual live replay for all this, I'll be doing a lot of skipping. Alright, so here I go into the chase position, skipping 5 seconds at a time. You can see how long this takes. Alright, so he's going to initiate around the second cone as well. I initiate a little bit earlier. Same thing, but 2.5 car, even 3 car gap. This is really big. But I knew that he was going to wash out here, and I didn't want to get trapped. So I waited, dived in, and drove up to close the gap down to about 1 car. He puts 3 tires off in the grass. I'm sitting waiting for him. He drives across the inner clip, transitions, and something happens with his car. And I give him a little love tap, a little damage to the door there. But I think obviously everybody knows, since he straightened, and the team knows as well, that we're going to get the win for this one. And you can see me there. Woo. And I get the win. Sweet. Feels good to be in the top 16. It was first time with this car, so solid. All right, and first run of the top 16 is going to be Gittin Jr. and Matt Kaufman. Matt jumps the light a little bit while Vaughn dives in, gets a little bit of a gap, throws it in, smooth entry. Big gap here, about 5 car lengths to the first clip. Vaughn has a good run. He cuts in on the inside to try to catch up. Vaughn runs up the hill, keeps about a 5-car gap, all the way up the hill, fills the outer zone right while Matt is trying to dive in on the inside. He does, but then gets rolled again through the second half, just strictly because of Vaughn's line. Being online is always important to keep your momentum up. Matt was diving in to have proximity at certain sections, but not enough to keep it for the entire run. Alright, so initiating at the third cone, Vaughn stays pretty tight and close, about a car length back. Good transition through there. They were in unison. Vaughn doing a great job following. Kaufman putting in a great lead run. Lots of angle. Fills that zone fantastic. Vaughn dives right up in there on him, making sure he doesn't get caught there. Transitions again. Gets a little bit of a gap, but Vaughn closes it by putting a tire on the inside there and then diving in. So I definitely have to give this one to Gittin because his follow run was much better. Matt had a great lead run, but it just wasn't going to be enough. Cool, and it goes to Vaughn. Next up, we have Alec Honadale versus Jeff Jones. It's a good battle here, both in S14s, kooky fronts, LS powered, both actually Roots style supercharged as well. All right, so Alec is going to lead first and drives in. It's very fast initiation here and chucks it into the second cone. Lots of angle, long handbrake drag. If you look, Jeff Jones is about 2 cars back. Alec clips that inner clipping point there, has a little bit of a bobble there, but rocket ships up the hill by pulling that angle out. And Jeff Jones has the same bobble. He fills the zone a little bit earlier than I'd like and is way off inner clip number 2. And Jeff Jones is able to dive in and take care of those take advantage of those mistakes. Oh, and he straightens. So Alec drives straight across the finish line as well. Not a very good clean run by Alec, and obviously not a very good run from Jeff Jones. So I'd have to, it's really going to depend on how this second run goes down. It looks like somebody's broken. All right, so it looks like they're moving on in the battle, and they'll have to go back to the previous one. So this next battle is going to be Matt Field and James Dean. Matt's going to lead first. Oh, shaking the camera. Sorry about that. All right, Matt and James. James is right there on initiation, dives in. Matt has a really snappy initiation, and James Dean is inside of the car, literally super close. No gap between the 2 cars. A little bit of a gap at the top of the hill there. Matt filling the zone, fantastic job. Diving in on that inner clip, and looks like he chokes out James Dean a little bit, makes a big mistake. I would put Matt Field at fault there. Looks like he fell to too much angle. But James Dean following that chase was very, very, very close. So you can see, yep, looks like he snapped to a lot of angle. I would definitely think that the judges are going to hold that against Matt. Even though he had a fantastic run, they made a little bit of a contact. This top 16 is taking a while to get through. Lots of mix-ups here, lots of contact. All right, so Alec jumps the light by quite a bit. Jeff Jones drives by and initiates. While Alec is there, Jeff Jones, huge mistake going in there. Looks like he's down on power, having the mistake. Alec Honadale diving up on him, pushing him through there, but Jeff Jones looks like he's having some trouble struggling here. Good placement by Alec there on the inside of the rear quarter panel. Very close transition. And looking very, very good. Pushing really hard, staying right on his door. Finishing basically pushing him up the hill. I don't know if they're like pissed off at each other, but that looked pretty wild. For this battle, obviously I had to give it to Alec Honadale. I feel that that Jeff made too many mistakes, but it could also be a one more time. Cool. Yeah, I was thinking one more time just because they both maybe had zeroed on the first run, but obviously Alec did not make that mistake on the second run. So next up is going to be Alex Hilbrun versus Chris Forsberg. I will skip my way all the way till their battle. Not having the highlight reel really sucks. All right, so it looks like Alex is going to lead first, and Chris is going to follow. Hilbrun with a snappy flick initiation while Chris is right there on his door. Look at how close they are. This is so close. Alec pulls some angle out and drives through the inner clip while Chris gets pulled on a little bit, but Chris will dive into the inside here and try to pull him at the top of the hill, and it looks like he will. Alex doesn't quite make it out to that zone all the way, but Chris is right there, glued back on him again, dives into the transition. A little bit of a gap is made, but Chris closes it again and dives into the last turn and stays about a half a car length back. Great run by Chris. So-so lead run from Alex. Chris is now going to lead. Through the chicane he goes, while Alex is in the chase position. Forsberg hucks it in. Super snappy initiation. Great to see that. A little bit of braking while on the handbrake. Alex with more angle and still diving in. Puts himself in a poor position to go up the hill, but Chris looking good up the hill. Gets out almost to that outer zone. Not quite there while Alex is riding a little shallower, and Alex makes a mistake and loops it, getting caught out in the inner clip number 2. Inner clip 2 is very tricky here because if you get closed in there or get shut down there, there's no way you're catching up for the second half of the track. So Alex did a huge mistake. I would say the win's going to go to Chris Forsberg. As the saying goes, Forsberg gets the win. And we move right on back to our James Dean and Matt Field battle. Alright, so here we go. James Dean leading Matt Field in the chase position. Matt Field dives in, about a car and a half back. Has some wobbles there. Not going to be good setting him up through here. Drops a tire, transitions, tries to get on back up the hill. James Dean looking good in lead position, but not quite out on the zones like he'd like to see. Matt is dived in, super close on him where he needs to be. Transitions, cuts himself a little short on the inside while James Dean powers all the way through the rest of the track. I definitely got to give this win to James Dean because Matt made multiple mistakes in the lead position and in the chase position. And it looks like James Dean is going to get the win. Alright, so next up is going to be, looks like Dean Kerney and Michael Essa. They have battled multiple times before, both teammates on Achilles. Dean Kerney in the Viper, while Michael Essa is in the E46. Skip ahead. You can see the tree go down. All right, and the lights are out. Essa's going to lead. Kerney's going to chase. Essa goes down the straightaway. Gets that car up in the 5th gear. Flicks in and transition. Dean is right where he needs to be. Perfect amount of gap. If he cannot hit this inner clip, he'll be able to power up super close. Very, very good. Transition. Maybe gets lost in the smoke a little bit, but only about a car and a half back, so he is able to close it again. Essa is almost filling that outer zone while Dean is glued into the inside of his car. Essa washes out wide, giving Dean the inside spot, but Dean is choked up on the inside of Essa and doesn't quite make a mistake, but gets very close to. So Essa, decent lead run. Dean had a great chase, had some highlight moments and also some spots where he had some weaknesses, but overall not necessarily a bad chase by Dean Kerney, one of the better ones I've seen today on this difficult track, or seen on this run. Alright, so they're waiting for the smoke to clear. You can see Brian Bridges, that's the team owner there, trying to watch the battle and figure out what's going on. Another little note here. That's Danger Dan. He was the one who helped me out in Abisu, keeping all my tires on my car when I was driving the Laurel. So I'm sure you guys have seen those videos. All right, it's going to switch positions, and Dean Kerney is going to lead while Essa chases. And they're still waiting for the smoke to clear. No wind, just so bad you can't see anything. All right, and the tree's going to go out. Here we go. Dean Kerney is going to lead while Essa chases. You notice Essa jumped the light a little bit, doesn't want to get rolled. Dean Kerney cuts across, enters the second cone. Essa's right there on a matched angle, dives to the inside. Cuts through the track a little bit while Dean ran a wider line. Dean gaps him because he kept his momentum up. Dean fills that outer zone. Essa's a little bit shallow here, which is not a good look and not a good position to be in for this reason right here, because now he can easily get gapped for the second half of the track. So he will fall back and be about 8 car lengths back by the last turn, kind of getting lost in the smoke. Definitely got to give this win to Dean Kerney. I'll kind of explain real quickly. So when you're in this spot right here, coming up the hill, obviously he had a little bit of a gap, but he's closing it. But he does that by cutting the line shallow. While he's out here, S is in here. What that does is, but when you have to go through the clip that's over here, if you're not out here and driving forward into the clip, you'll get caught out right here and get stuck while the other person will pull away. So Dean was able to keep his momentum up, while Essa had to kind of check up and brake. But it looks like a good run, but it's definitely going to go to Dean Kerney. Dean Kerney gets the win. Sweet. So next up is going to be myself versus Ryan Turk. All right, so here we go. I go through the chicane. Ryan Turk is waiting a bit for me. You can see he's ahead of me still at this point. I cut in. I don't quite get out to the rumble strip, but Turk is right there on me. Drive through inner clip 1. He washes out wide. I drive up the zone. Huge gap. As you can see, he's pretty much driving straight here, and there's about a 5-car gap between the two. Has some bobbles coming up the hill. I get into the center of that outer zone and fill it properly. He starts closing the gap. I pull another gap right there, and he lunges into the inside, almost driving straight again. I pour a bunch of angle in for the last turn. Get on that inner clip number 2 or number 3 and drive up. So up the hill had a huge gap. Had a number 1 ran my qualifying line. We'll take a quick look at this again. So very close on entry. Great job from Ryan. Washes out a little bit, so I stretch him up the hill. He drives pretty much straight right there for a bit. Has another bobble right there. Clips the inside cone that's not even anywhere near where you're supposed to be. I fill the outer zone completely. Get right up on the inner clip right there. He surges up, almost driving straight again. Transitions through here. I've got good angle and finish the run right where you're supposed to be. So now we're going to switch it up, and I'm going to follow. Waiting for that smoke to dissipate. All right, so here we go. I am in the chase, and Turk is in the lead. So I wait for him to go. He kind of goes slow in the entry. I'm about 1.5 cars back. Clip that inner clip, but dive up, and up the hill I have only a 0.5 car gap. Right on where I need to be. Very, very close. Out to the zone, following him. Dive into inner clip. Get right up on him there. Transition, and now he has about a 4-car gap on me in the second half of the track. I try to close it, but don't quite get where I need to be. So, as you can see, in my run, I had entry was not quite as close as him, but going up the hill, I was much closer than he was to me. Going up the hill, I actually stay out and fill the zone and stay on his door. So I have a much stronger chase run up until this point. And then as you can see, he pulls away here by kind of cutting the track there and then driving with good angle. So, I mean, he's doing all right there. But for me, I felt like I had the advantage just because I had gapped Turk, and Turk made some mistakes and almost drove straight in the first run. Obviously, I do remember this, and it is going to be one more time. Oh, this will be perfect. They show it side by side here.
Who thinks they should go one more time?
So, yeah, obviously it's a little bit closer there. And then, as you see, up the hill, huge gap, and he's almost driving straight. I'm much closer. He's inside hitting the cone there while I'm out wide here, filling the zone. I fill this clip with a lot more angle. He kind of comes off this clip and starts a straight line. Earlier, transitions with less angle. I finished the run up with quite a bit more angle, but he is much closer to me for the second half of the track. So, you know, definitely some deliberation here from the judges to figure out who gets the advantage and who's going to win the battle. So, one more time, and Andy gives it to me. So, we're going to do one more time. I'll fast forward, and we're going to move on to the next battle. So, here we go. Kristaps, Bluss, and Nate Hamilton. Kristaps is going to lead first. And flicks it in a little bit early on this, right before the second cone. Nate gets choked up on the inside a little bit, but then drives through the smoke, up the hill with a very large gap here, as you can see. Kristaps with low angle, not being able to fill this zone. His car's too gripped up. He can't float the car out where it needs to. Nate gets up on the inside there, tries to dive in, and goes across the grass. That's going to be a 0 for Nate Hamilton. That's 4 tires off. It's no good for him. So while Kristaps has a decent lead run, not a great one, but a decent one, Nate fails to stay on the track, so he gets a 0. All right, Nate Hamilton's going to lead, and he's going to throw it in. A little bit of a slow transition, power through the first run. Kristaps right there on him. He knows he got a 0 in the first run, but still putting all the pressure on in the next battle. Nate filling that zone really well. Kristaps staying right there on his door. Nate a bit off that inner clip. Great transition between the two of them right there. Kristaps staying right on his door. Definitely not showing any mercy, even though Nate zeroed on the first run. So hats off to Kristaps for driving super hard, while Nate obviously had the 0 in the first run. So Kristaps is definitely going to get the win on this one. All right, so next battle, I am going to lead first. This is the Ryan Turk one more time. Drive down the hill as fast as I can. Drive across, flick it in, get right up on that outer zone. Lots of angle. Right on the inner clip there. Transition fast up the hill. Turk is now staying on me as I gap him a little bit there. Get out, fill that outer zone at the last bit. Drive into the inner clip. Right on where I need to be. Turk is right there on me, only about a car back the entire time. Transitions, almost catches the front bumper. Very, very close. Turk at low angle, but just a phenomenal follow run, staying about a car back the entire time. I have a strong lead run. If I had to depict it to make it perfect, I would just say that I didn't get into outer zone 2 quite as much as I would have liked to. So I got out there, but it was just late. So good on inner clip 2. Turk's right there. Has a little bit of a straighten. He's driving with very little angle throughout the track. But looking good for sure. Let's see. Let's switch positions. All right, so here we go. Turk's going to lead. I'm going to follow. Throw it in. I'm a little shallow, but stay right there on him where he needs to be. Transition up the hill, tapping him on his door, literally charging into the side of him multiple times, giving him some bumps. He doesn't quite fill that outer zone, and then runs over the inner clip, and then I get gapped quite a little bit through here, taking a wider line. Should have been tightened up and shallow, but Turk obviously gaps me tremendously, and you can see where it happened. So coming down the hill, super close. Oh. Whoops. Tapping him there, transition, drive up on him, tap him again there, tap him again there, and where you can see the trouble is right here. I wash out wide, I don't get to the inside, so I'm on the gas trying to power through, but I'm not getting into that inner clip, and that's what shoots me off wide here and gives Turk a big advantage. So while I was much closer the second half of the track where it's more difficult to tandem, I just didn't have enough to stay on his door for the second half, as you can see. More angle and on his door through here. But just wash out right here and I'm not able to get that inner clip right there. So Ryan Turk is definitely going to get the win on this one. But thank you, Andy, for giving me the one more time. All right, so now we have Kyle Mohan and Peter Wysick. Peter is going to lead first. Kyle Mohan in the chase. Peter throws it in, second zone, gets on the rumble strip. Kyle is nowhere to be found, way back there. Driving a little bit sloppy. Peter has a good lead run out here. Quite misses the outer zone 2, and misses inner clip 1, or inner clip 2. But fills the rest of the zones, gets where he needs to be for the last bit, and gets quite a gap on Kyle Mohan, which is nowhere to be found. Lots of smoke pouring off that thing, though. So Kyle, definitely not a good follow run, while Peter is in the lead. Okay, so, false start. Skip forward again. All right, so Peter is gapped on initiation, which is not good. But looks like he's starting to close it here, coming up the hill about 2, 3. Oh, there he goes. Drives up onto him, while Kyle's having an acceptable lead run, but nothing that great. Smooth transition through there. Peter drives up onto his door, staying about a car length back now. Quick, snappy transition into the last turn, and they finish the run. So I definitely got to give this to Peter. While Peter didn't have a great follow run, it was better than Kyle Mohan's follow on him. And Peter gets the win. All right, so moving on, we have Von Gittin versus Alec Honadale, and Von is going to lead first as the tree goes out. Through the chicane, Von goes down to the first turn while Alec's following. Von is another snappy initiation, and Alec is right there on him, very, very close. Transition, bam! Alec's right up on his door. Then Von gaps him a little bit. Huge flick into the second outer zone. Tons of angle, getting in on that inner clip, powering through. Alec is right there on him, doing a fantastic job in the follow. So great lead run from Von and great follow run from Alec Honadale. We'll just watch the replay. I just want to see this snap again right here. As you see, going up the hill, Alec's right there, and then boom, back it in. Beep, beep. Right into the outer zone. Catching just the end of it, though, not the whole thing. But Alec doing a fantastic job following. Just wanted to see that snap again. It was really cool. And then here we go. Let's switch the tables around. And Alec is going to lead while Von chases. Alec throws it in. Von is about half a car length back. Drives in, is right where he needs to be. Transitions early. Alec pulls him up the hill but has almost no angle. But he fills that zone. Von cuts the corner short and dives in. And Alec starts pulling away a little bit as Von dives in on the inside. Von's doing what he needs to by cutting the track a little bit to catch up. But Alec's driving low angle through the whole track and pulls away from Von. While I don't condone the low angle as Alec was driving, because he doesn't normally do that, it definitely made him faster, which was allowing him to pull away from Von in the lead position. So if you just notice, he's just not much angle the whole track, which is uncharacteristic of Alec. I don't know if he has a problem with his car or what. Good angle through there, because it's a slow part of the track. But then if you notice through here, just not very much angle, but pulls a pretty big gap on Von. So I got to give this win to Alec Honadale, just because of, I'd hate to say it, but he pulled a gap on Von. It wasn't really like the other way around. So looks like all goes to Alec Honadale for the win. All right, so jumping ahead to the next battle is going to be James Dean and Chris Forsberg. Oh, too many skips. All right, so James Dean is in the lead position, Forsberg in the chase. Dean does a flick entry while Chris keeps about a half a car to a car back, dives in on the inside, catches the inner clip, driving up into that outer zone there, uses the brakes a little bit to slow down, which, as you can see, causes him to miss this outer zone while Chris is diving in. Great positioning through that second zone. Drives up about a half a car difference. Chris driving with a little bit less angle, but James Dean pulling ahead. So about a car and a half to a car gap for the whole track. So pretty solid follow from Chris. Decent lead run, but not great run from James Dean. Just too much brakes there. I don't know what he was doing. But it did give the opportunity for Chris to dive in and catch up. So now into the next position. Chris Forsberg leading James Dean. Oh, looks like they're going to do a restart. They both just back up. That's pretty funny. But yeah, so obviously, in my eyes, Chris, if there was advantages, he would have it, just because James Dean lead run was not that great, and Chris's follow was a good follow, like a 8 out of 10. And the tree goes down again. Chris is in the lead. Chris throws it in, and James Dean is glued to him. So close. Almost rips the back bumper off with his front bumper. Super close up the hill. Chris's lead run is not that great as well. Doesn't quite fill that zone, but right on the inner clip. James Dean doing a phenomenal job in the chase. This is similar to how the run was for when Chris led, or James Dean led, but James being a force on that front half of the track. So I would say that this one's going to go to either a one more time or go to James Dean. So let's take a look. This right here is the reason I think James Dean has a chance. Just glued to his door. Watch this transition. Oh my God, you know he was in the car squeezing his legs together because he thought he was going to hit him. Great chase up the hill, right onto his door, right where he needs to be. So similar lead runs between James and Chris, but I got to say that follow run from James is stronger than Chris's. So I'll give it to James Dean, or it could be one more time. James Dean gets the win unanimously, too. They must really wanted to see that proximity on entry and through the first turn. All right, next up is going to be Ryan Turk and Dean Kerney. Ryan Turk's going to lead first. Oh, went too far. All right, so Ryan enters, great entry. Dean is right there, glued onto him. Look at this, almost surpasses the front wheels, more angle, and has the proximity. Let's see how that fares for the second half. Transition gets pushed back quite a bit, as you're seeing about a 3 or 4 car gap, and Dean has to cut the track. But now you see Dean diving in on the inside to get that proximity back for the second half of the track, staying about a half a car back, and even closer, and finishing the first run I've seen of somebody finishing back tire to front tire. So great lead run by Turk, and follow run was good except up the hill from Dean. I like to see this initiation, that's great, but he washes out too far, which then causes transition point to get pushed back. He gets gapped up the hill, almost hits the inner clip there, and then from here on out, he looks good again. So I would give good kudos to him for jumping back in and not missing a beat, but up the hill, he definitely got gapped pretty hard. So we'll skip ahead. And there goes the tree. Dean Kerney's going to lead. Turk's going to chase. And Dean throws it in. Snappy initiation. Catches a wheel on the guardrail there. Turk is gapped hard right off the bat. Washes out, so he's going to get gapped again here. Using the brakes a little bit, filling that zone. Turk dives in. Gets the inner clip. Picks it up, dives in again, gets right there on him where he needs to be. Very low angle from Turk again for the second half of the track, but still gets pulled away. So again, similar. Dean had a much more aggressive entry, and then Turk, because he was very close through here. Similar gap going up the hill. Turk may even have been a little bit closer up the hill, not much. Dean has a little bit better of a lead run filling that pocket. Turk's right there on his door for the second half of the track. So proximity for the second half definitely goes back to Turk, but low angle on the proximity. So I personally would 100% be one more time on this. Let's see what the judges say. Dean Kerney gets the win. So I just assume that it has to be because of Turk driving pretty much straight, or maybe they accounted it as straight. A lot of people may have thought Ryan Turk would have won that battle because of the proximity, but definitely not go to Turk. I thought one more time. I think that maybe Dean had won just because of for the amount of angle that he had for the second half of the track in comparison to Turk. All right, next battle is going to be Kristaps Bluss and Peter Weissek. Kristaps is going to lead first in HGK BMW. Here we go. Oh, sorry guys. Throws it in. Peter has a good follow run. I knocked my camera loose there. Hang on just a sec. Let me fix this. My ghetto tape is falling off of here. Don't be hating. Alright, cool. So, let's rewind this. Alright, so Kristaps throws it in, second cone. Peter is a half a car length back. Drives up into inner clip 1. HGK car. Kristaps clips the inner clip. And as you can see, is Peter, where the heck is he at? He's diving through the smoke. He's about a half a car to a car length back now. He's starting to close it. Kristaps throws a ton of angle into that outer zone, but fills it early. He's starting to drive off already. Peter is right there on him, right where he needs to be. Super close, great proximity. Gets a little choked up in the corner there, but dives in, runs over that marker there, but that doesn't really matter. Drives in, catches the inner clip, gets gapped pretty hard in the second half of the track. But first half of the track, Peter looked very, very good. So we're going to wait for the smoke to clear a little bit. And here we go. Tree goes out. Peter's going to lead, and Kristaps is going to chase. All right, Peter throws it in. Kristaps is following. Very similar. A little bit of a waiver from Kristaps. But, Kristaps washes out, but transitions quickly. Is able to drive up onto him. A little bit of a waiver from Peter. Peter actually fills that outer zone. Very good. Kristaps is right on him, filling the gap. Super, super close. Using all the forward bite of that BMW drive. Right up onto his door again. Transition. Great run. Oh, no! But Bluss goes off track on the last part. I don't know if they're going to hold that against him or not. If they do not hold that against him, Kristaps gets the win for sure. If they hold that against him, he's going to lose because of it. Kristaps, phenomenal follow. Let's take a look at this again. There's the finish line. Ooh, he's 2 tires off before the finish line. It's not a 0 for 2 tires off, but I don't know how they're going to hold that against him. What a bummer if he loses because of that. Oh, no. Alright, one more time. Cool, that's good. I didn't want to see him get knocked out after that great follow. James Dean on camera. Alright, so here's the one more time between Kristaps and Peter. Kristaps throws it in. Boom, snaps the angle very quickly. Best I've seen all day from him. Peter is about a car length back. Great transition time. Looks like Kristaps puts 2 tires off in the front. Have to see another angle to figure that out. Kristaps fills the zone. Peter is right there on him. Fantastic follow. A little bit of a gap created there, but Peter is diving in, removing some angle while Kristaps is driving very, very quickly through that second half and pulls on him about a 2 to 3 car gap and holds it the entire time. If you notice, guys aren't having enough angle through the second half of the track, and it's really because like making it a drag race. As you can see right here, they'll transition, and now just watch the angle. He removes it and just barely is drifting to keep as much speed as possible through the second half of the track. So yeah, if I were a judge, that would be a deduction on my part. I would like to see a lot of angle through there. A little local Kyle Pollard there, fellow, and Brian. I don't know this guy's name, but this is a local from Florida. This is a local from the Northwest up by me. Brian's based out of California. All right. The tree is going down for the chase position of Kristaps Bluss and Peter Weissek. Peter's going to lead. Snaps a slow transition entry, actually, while Kristaps is very, very close, staying right on his door. Gets gapped up the hill by about a car and a half, as you can see. Kristaps staying close. Peter not quite filling that outer zone, but looking strong through this last section. And Kristaps is staying right on his door and finishing the run very, very close. I think it got to be one more time again. Both had decent lead runs and good chases. I got to go one more time again. Yeah, I don't know about here. Look at Kristaps' front tires. Ooh, might be 2 tires off. That might be the nail in the coffin for Kristaps. Both drivers doing well. Both drivers about the same closeness. Just Kristaps even more aggressive per se. A little bit closer proximity. Now it's about the same. Boom, Kristaps staying much closer for the second or the last turn. It's tough. It just depends on if they deem Kristaps 2 tires off as equal. I got to give it one more time or go to Kristaps. And it goes to Kristaps. Oh, double win. And he goes too far. All right, Kristaps gets the win. Fantastic. Good for him because he's been charging hard all night. All right, next battle is going to be Alec Honadale and James Dean. Alec Honadale is going to get the lead position first. This is the top 4 battle here. Flicks it in. James Dean about a car length back. Ooh, super wide there, making a mistake. Huge gap now, 2.5, 3 car gap up the hill. Alec Honadale filling the zone, driving with quite a bit of angle on this lead run there. Oh no, but drives straight. Looks like he missed a gear and a shifter. Oh no. Dang, so he's going to get a 0 for that for sure. Let's see. Yep, drive straight for too long. It's not going to work. James Dean getting a lucky call there because he was not looking good, and Alec just zeroed it out. For once, James was not driving on point, and Alec makes a mistake. All right, so lead position is James Dean. James does this little manji entry, weak initiation though. Alec is sitting there waiting for it to happen, puts the tire off on the inside, and drives low angle up the hill, but looks like James Dean is running a little bit of a shallow line. Not looking so great here. Alec obviously charging hard, trying to stay right on his door as close as possible. Almost ripping the front bumper off. Finishes without putting the tire off. Great attempt from Alec Honadale, but it's not going to be enough to cover up his 0 from the first run. James Dean gets the win. All right, so Kristaps is going to lead first. Dean is going to follow. Kristaps, as fast as he can on initiation, throws it in. A little bit of slow initiation, but Dean right there where he needs to be. Super close. Doing a great job. Looks like he may have driven straight there at the end. Kristaps, good run. Very close. Dean right there on his door doing a fantastic job in tandem. But a car length back. Oh, mistake from Kristaps. Leaving the door open for Dean, and then Dean washes out and goes 2 tires off. Oh my goodness. To me as a driver, Dean Kerney's mistake was due to Kristaps' mistake. But let's see this one more time since we're getting into the final battles here. About a half a car length gap, right where he needs to be. Transition up the hill. Doesn't look like he actually straightened there, just low angle. Super close. Kristaps doesn't feel that outer zone, but Dean doing a great job following. That was a little bit of a bobble from Kristaps. And then Dean just washes out, possibly even 4 tires off, maybe just 2. God, I'd hate to be a judge for this. All right. Dean in the lead position, Kristaps in the chase. Dean snaps a fast entry, lots of angle. Drives through the inner clip, right on the clip where he needs to be. Snaps transition again. Kristaps in the smoke, staying about 2 car lengths back. Dean fills the zone all the way, drives into that inner clip, a little bit off, has a little bit of a wonky line there. But as you can see, Kristaps doing a good job following, staying about a car and a half back, and then runs over the inner clip and puts a tire off as well. It's a tough call. I just don't know how they're going to view the off-track excursion that Dean took. Because Kristaps also put a tire off, but obviously nowhere near as bad. So Dean had the stronger of both runs, but then made a big mistake. So, personally, if I were a judge, this would go to Kristaps. One more time. One more time. And Kristaps. Yeah, see, I'm with Andy on that one. I think I would have gave it to Kristaps. We'll fast forward here. All right, so here we go for the one more time. Kristaps is going to lead. Dean's going to follow. Kristaps snaps it in on the entry. Very, very close. Makes contact with Kristaps. Definitely causing that spin. Dean is definitely to blame for that. Oh, definitely made contact and spun. You can see Kristaps tries to save it, but it was just way too gnarly of a hit. So yeah, I definitely would think that Dean is at fault. All right, so here we go again. Kristaps is in the follow position. Dean is in the lead.
So he's at a deficit here. So Kristaps just needs to apply the pressure, and he's going to advance on to the finals.
All right, Dean makes a mistake on entry, hits the inner clipped cone and washes out. Dean running a really wide line, but very choppy, not very smooth. That was absolutely Dean's fault there, going into that last section. So up the hill, Dean's very choppy and floaty, not very committed, and then basically stops there, way offline, just not looking smooth at all. There wasn't any contact, so the judges will likely... The judges are going to say one more time now because they both zeroed out, but Kristaps is broken. I would give Kristaps the win just because I feel like Dean was playing games with that one. We'll watch again just so that I'm sure. So, throws it in, drags the handbrake way longer than normal. So he's already made his first mistake while Kristaps is sitting there waiting. Up the hill, power. Watch him float the car just forever and then get on throttle. No handbrake or anything, just like doesn't fill that zone. Drives way offline and then cuts him off on the inside. So the Kristaps has nowhere to go.
That's where we have the collision that disables Bluss. So the judges now have a call to make here. We had Dean. Here it is.
Let's see another angle. Let's see.
You're going to see Bluss right here on the inside. He breaks, and then right there, making contact.
You know what? See, this is why it's important to have another angle. He's cutting across. I thought that Dean was using the handbrake here.
Here's another angle here, Jared.
But it doesn't seem like that. It actually looks like Kristaps hit him there. So, yeah, so Kristaps is at fault for that, not Dean. I'll take that back. I just thought that Dean was driving a very obscure line, which he was, but Kristaps clearly drove straight up into him, causing the issue. Like, yeah, see, I didn't see him hit there at that point. So,
go into the horseshoe. Kristaps has already looked. It looks like they go tire to tire. That's after obvious contact there. But the question is, you know, did.
All right, so they're gonna need some time to fix that. They're gonna tow him off the track. We'll skip ahead. All right, so as you can see, they're trying to fix Kristaps' car. Chris Forsberg's helping. Ryan Turk's helping. They're really trying to get this all together so that he can battle. He had 10 minutes to fix it, but they're just getting to the point where there's 15 seconds left, and the car's still in the jack stands. So Chris is trying to put the front bumper on, but I think he's like, forget it, that's not really important. Kevin is saying it's not going to work. 2, 1, just drives off the jack stands. He says it's time to go. Looks like they got the jack stands out. Or one's left. Oh, both are left. And they're ready to go. Let's turn the volume up so you can hear.
Let's see what Big Kev says.
He says over the radio he doesn't have lug nuts in the rear. He didn't make it in time.
So Kristaps and his team.
So it looks like Kristaps isn't going to be able to make it to the line.
Right down here, he is talking to the teams right now.
I'm sure you guys all saw this. I didn't see it.
Any official word on Kristaps?
Yeah, I mean, they're very good effort on that, but it's missing lug nuts and everything else. It's not, the alignment's not done. It's not all tightened up, so I'm not going to let that one run.
So yeah, Ryan, it's more than lug nuts. It's alignment.
Thank you.
You know, they're down there torquing on.
All right, so it looks like
torquing on suspension and angle, and
Dean Kerney's going to get the win, even though
the car would basically be unsafe going out, and now we turn our attention to Dean because he's got to. We haven't seen much from Dean. We've been focusing on Kristaps, but Dean still has his clock there. We remember when.
So Dean finished up the clock. Dean was able to go on the track, so Dean's going to get the win.
A few minutes.
Definitely a different type of battle, but you know, that's definitely wild to win in such a way that is just because your competitor can't go to the line. So we're going to see Dean's winning victory lap here.
It's an all-Irish final here in Atlanta as Dean Kerney. We've seen him push, and here he is taking what is a victory lap. Just one's the last.
All right, so now we have. I'll use the last name instead of first name, or better yet, I'll use the first name of one and the last of the other. Dean and Dean, right? All right, so Kerney versus Dean. Looks like it's gonna be a good battle here. They're gonna have James Dean lead first, and this is for the win of the event right here. All right, here we go. James Dean flicks it in. Good initiation, if you can see here. About a half of a car to a car gap in this section right here. Powers through a little bit wider than earlier, but transition getting him up there. Look at Kerney right there on him in that section. This is the closest I've seen so far. Gives him a little bump with the front wheel. A little less angle than James, but Dean is diving in. Oh, about a car and a half gap, but goes up close to close it up. Transitions and keeps his tires on the pavement that time. So good overall run from James Dean. Let's watch it closely. Good initiation, but not quite as much angle as I'd like to see. About a car length gap there. Very, very close here, and then gets pulled a little bit up the hill, but gives him a little bump there. Pretty close to filling that outer zone while Dean sits and waits. Transitions a little bit late, which gives him about a car gap throughout the rest of the track, but very, very close battle through all of that. Now let's switch around here and see. We're going to have Dean lead and James Dean follow. Alright, Dean throws it in. James Dean's right there on him, about a half a car to a car gap. Transition, drives right up onto his door. Stays on him up the hill very, very closely. James Dean is right where he needs to be. Dean Kerney is filling that outer zone and gives him a bump. He's very, very close. Dives in again. About a one-car gap here for the second half. About the same as the gap was when the roles had switched, but James Dean had even closer up the hill, closer through the pocket, closer coming out of the end of it. I think that overall this definitely goes to James Dean, but very, very close battle. The differences are going to be right here. James is staying on Kerney's door all the way around. Well, Dean Kerney's lead run might have been slightly better. The follow is more than slightly better.
That section of the course, probably some rubbing going on through there. Now, Dean Kerney right here through this last section, through this first inside clip, is going to pull a minor gap right before the finish line right there. But outside of that,
Very, very close battle.
Was doing a tremendous job.
Look at this.
Let's see if this backs up what I was saying. So you can see Dean is close to James here, but the gap is not much. I guess about a half a car difference between the two. But this is what I was saying. So he gets about 3-4 feet from the zone. He's about 2 feet from the zone. Right here going to second inner. James Dean's closer. And then the gap is about the same here. He closes it a little bit, for sure, by about a half car difference, but then finishes up about the same. I don't know. I got to give it to James Dean.
Splitting hairs here. We are absolutely splitting hairs. James Dean. Ryan says one more time.
And James Dean gets the win. Very, very close battle. But yeah, definitely got to give it to James.
James Dean in the Word House.
All right, so congratulations to James Dean for getting the win. He had the most consistent battles, super good follow runs, made a few mistakes, but luckily it was at times where other people had made bigger mistakes, so he ended up getting the win and advancing. Kudos to him. This is his second podium of the year, so that's really, really good. He seems to be doing really well and adapting to everything, so I'm pretty stoked on that. Over here in a minute, I'm going to knock out the Formula D New Jersey video, so keep an eye out for that, and hopefully I can get back on track with making all these videos and keep you guys updated.